how's it going, guys? Back at you today with more improvement for your movement. And this week we're talking about squats. What I wanted to address today was specific warm-ups for your squats. So we need to move away from this just getting on the treadmill, getting the core temperature up, and then getting straight into the bar, right? What I want to teach you here today is how to improve your motor unit synchronicity, basically meaning how we get certain muscles to fire at the right time, the right place, to improve your squat. So let's get to it. So what we need to understand is which muscles do the most amount of work in the back squat. Now, yes, it is of course a leg exercise, but it's also very hip dominant, meaning that your glutes do a lot of work. If you just think of the glute function, especially the gluteus maximus, the biggest muscle in the body, its function is to extend the hip, to basically straighten out the hip, right? So we're gonna start priming those glutes here in a moment, but first, let's learn how to open up a little bit. Just work on a little bit of mobility here before we get under that bar.
So a position that I get a lot of people to start out in is to anchor themselves to the lower part of the squat rack and get into a real deep squat, as deep as possible. And what I'll have them do from there is kind of move around, bounce a little bit, scour, push the elbows into the knees, get your ankles going, right? Keep the heel flat on the floor, right? Hang out here for 20, 30 seconds. I might even open up the thoracic spine by rotating gently diagonally, right? And just really open things up. You see, if there's any tightness or anything going on in your body that you're not too sure about, you don't want to figure that out under the bar. And just by the way, if you have any squat mobility issues, this is a great position to get yourself in for an accumulative 10 minutes a day. So 1 minute here and there, 10 times a day, right? What I'll do is have someone get down into a deep squat, bounce around, get the ankles going, take the elbows, pry the knees out. This is called a prying squat, right? Might even bring the hips up and just hang out there with a good neutral spine at all times. From that position, I might open up the posterior chain, primarily the hamstrings, just by quickly flossing them, right? Boom. Do 5 or 10 of those, just open up.
So the unfortunate thing about glute and hip exercises is they look and feel kind of silly, and a lot of guys have problems doing these exercises in public spaces like big gyms and whatnot. But I promise you, if you can get over that and focus on priming, activating, and strengthening the glutes and isolating them, you will see improvements in performance and how you move, right? Improvements in strength and everything like that. So one of these exercises that is really funny is this banded pull through. I have a big heavy band anchored to the squat rack. I'm gonna step over it and get it up real high and personal. I'm gonna walk out till I have a reasonable amount of tension. I'm gonna allow that band to pull my butt back with a neutral spine. I'm gonna squeeze the butt here in this position and then squeeze and hold at the top. As you can see, this is really good for the hinge pattern, which is basically your deadlift, right? Really good exercise for the glutes and the hamstrings that teaches the pattern. Get this one done for 10 to 15 reps before you squat, and you'll definitely see some improvements in your movement. So these thick elastic resistance bands, call them hip circles, are pretty cheap on Amazon. You can get them anywhere nowadays. There's a lot of uses for these, so I recommend getting one anyway. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna step into it and just bring it right above where my knees are and get a decent amount of tension, right? Remember on Monday we talked about the knees pointing outwards? This is gonna help teach you that. But also, we're gonna prime the side butt, the gluteus medius, right? So just little baby steps. I might do 10 that way, 10 that way. Notice I'm not waddling, right? I'm getting into a quarter squat and just shuffling, right? I might just do 10 or 15 each way and feel that gluteus medius, the side butt, start to burn a little bit. Remember, you're still warming up, so we're not going crazy here. That gluteus medius is gonna help with lateral stability, so if you have any shifting in the squat, it also stabilizes quite a bit. So, get that one done, and one more exercise to go before we get under the bar. So then, of course, we have the brilliant and underutilized goblet squat. Just remember, you're not working out yet. You're still priming yourself, right? The thing with the goblet squat is, depending on how far you hold it away from your torso, it's gonna light up your spinal erectors and your intrinsic stabilizers in the core. All these things are trying to stabilize and keep you alive under the bar, right? Good things to prime too. It's not just your hips and your legs, right? So what I might do is just do a good few 5, 6, 7, 8 goblet squats, and you might play around with different areas of resistance, right? Far away or close. Don't do too much. Practice it, feel the movement, everything that we went over Monday and today, and then get yourself under the bar. So now that we're opened up and primed, we're ready to go. It's time to get under the bar. But that doesn't mean that we just jump straight to our working set. So let's say today, for example, you're doing 5 sets of 5 at 315 pounds. You wouldn't just jump straight to that 315 pounds. In fact, I see a lot of guys doing that, and it's very detrimental to, one, their progress, and two, it's a very high risk of injury. We need to find that balance and all that kind of proprioceptive memory and that motor unit synchronicity like I mentioned. So that is the purpose of these warm-ups essentially. So what I would do in this case, I'd get under the bar and just practice that movement for 8 to 10 reps. Just feel my feet gripping the floor and screwing into the floor. Feel my quads and my glutes and my hamstrings firing all at the same time. And my core bracing, my lats stabilizing, how that bar feels on your back and your shoulders. I'd do that for 8 to 10 reps, and then I'd wait, and then I'd put the 45s on, so now I'm doing 135 pounds. I'd do kind of the same thing, really just grease that groove and get in tune to the movement. Make sure you're executing it as perfectly as possible. I'd give myself a few minutes, jump to 225. I'd even do a few less reps there, maybe 5 or 6. And then I'd give myself a couple minutes and then jump to my working sets. You see, you don't need to just walk into the gym and just go straight to it, right? So think warm up. This doesn't take a whole lot of time. And the benefit to it in a short amount of time that you spend perfecting that movement and getting everything firing at the right time will pay off, I promise you. So give this a shot. Let me know how it goes. And if you're interested in my services and coaching for nutrition, training, movement, lifestyle, everything like that, hit the link in my bio. All right, take it easy.